Hello, and welcome to this episode of Unboxing Women, where we explore the gender gap in the music and entertainment industry. My name is Micah Rose, and with me is my friend Dana Rex, and we are here to reveal what really goes on behind the scenes. You can listen to us on our YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast platform. Today, the topic today, it's been on our minds for quite a while, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. It will be Adele and her, her new album / what is she doing? Why is she deciding the things that she's deciding? And I think it's pretty interesting. Adele is a conundrum in a way.
To you, not to me.
To me.
I don't see it that way, yeah.
To me, that, the songs that she sings really seem to be very different from who she is as a person.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yes. Why do you say that?
Well, I wonder sometimes if that's why it's so taxing on her to tour and to keep singing them over and over live, because she has to use up maybe too much of her energy to get herself into the groove of them. They're always very, very emotional, and it's mostly about love, and it's, there's very, very heavy topics and very emotional songs. And I think it's very taxing if it's something that, if you have had that experience, you always have to kind of to bring that out on stage, and the emotionalness of it, bring that back. You have to tap into that all the time. And on the other hand, she is so bubbly and talkative and a bit, theatrical in the sense that, maybe theatrical is the wrong word, but she talks like in her accent, her normal accent. She doesn't clean up the way she talks in her normal voice, to an English standards dialect something. It's very her dialect, and it's so wonderful, and she's so spontaneous. And I'm just wondering if these songs are not just all so heavy, and that is taxing on her every time she goes live, because she had a period where she said she didn't want to tour anymore. It was all too hard. She had problems with her voice because she was straining it. She was very tired. And this is basically what I'm where I think that the problem is energy wise.
That is very interesting, because I've said before, I identify myself as an artist with people the likes of Adele and Lewis Capaldi and stuff, who write very deep songs, but are actually very bubbly and kind of outgoing and carefree most of the time. And I personally have been shying away from the stage as well. So maybe you're right.
Maybe it's because of what you guys sing. It's just very, very heavy, and
it's very emotional work. It is. I sometimes, when I'm on stage, I sometimes don't go back into that depth, and I don't know if that is a detriment to my music, whether I should all the time be going back into that depth of emotion. Because I recently filmed a music video where it took me those 2 hours that we were kind of filming all the time until we did my solo shots to really kind of work my way into the song, and to the point where I could then kind of really emotionally connect to it. And that made me cry. I was shaking afterwards. It was so emotional. I can imagine if you actually do that on a daily basis, that is exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, she is very professional. I'm pretty sure she does that just to have the authenticity as well, and to just do a good job. And it is very taxing. I mean, I've thought of, okay, if I don't see her as being the personality of the songs that she sings, what do I see her as then? And I would say more of kind of an Elle King. Do you know her? She's the one who sang X's and the oh-oh-ohs, they help me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more swearing, more I am who I am and I do what I want type of stuff, which Adele, when she's speaking to her audience and being basically a stand-up comedian, she is very, like, she tells people off a lot at her at her concerts for various things. She speaks her mind unapologetically, and so I kind of see her more in that kind of music where maybe I see her, I don't know her personally obviously, but I would see her more being herself in a song where she can just swear a little bit or be ironic a little bit or sarcastic a little bit, and that's not the songs that she sings.
It's interesting, maybe she doesn't feel comfortable writing those songs, or maybe she feels comfortable writing them but doesn't actually sing them herself because she doesn't feel comfortable singing them. I don't know.
It's clearly not in her brand as a singer, but when she's at a concert on stage, you don't expect. Let me put it the other way around. When you see Adele's brand of basically, singing songs for like a James Bond movie, it's very serious, it's very deep, it's very emotional. And when you see that branding next to who she really is, it doesn't click for me. It doesn't gel.
It's so interesting because I identify myself with that so much.
Well, you don't identify yourself with her talking shit to somebody who's filming in the audience. You identify yourself with the heaviness of her songs. That's
yes
something
and no,
else.
Though. No, I also identify with the way she acts. Like, because it's the contradiction for me as well. It's the same with Lewis Capaldi. It's the contradiction between writing these heavy songs and writing kind of always sad songs and emotional songs, and just kind of that's what seems to come out of you. But then in day-to-day life, I'm just a happy person, and I am very frank. I tell people when I don't like stuff that they do, and I've actually gotten in trouble with people for being so frank. So I really identify with that contradiction of being a happy, kind of generally positive person, but writing songs that just make people depressed.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. Indeed. Yeah, that is what I can see. And yeah, I was just wondering, if that was why in 2017, she said she was going to stop touring after multiple cancellations, involving voice problems. And it didn't seem like something she wanted to do. At the end of the 25 tour, she had actually put a handwritten note into all the program booklets at Wembley, which was the last stop, saying touring didn't suit her and that this was probably going to be the last concert ever, And then last year, she comes out with a new album and she says she wanted to tour after COVID, but
I think she feels like she owes it to her fans. I think it's more of an obligation and less of something that she actually wants to do. I think it goes back to imposter syndrome as well, which we know. Well, she said she feels a lot. You can feel it expressed in her songs as well. The new album, at least, it's kind of this feeling of wanting to, acknowledging that she has built so much fame only through her fans and only through them supporting her, and even coming every time she takes a long absence, they're back when she comes back. And that is something that everybody has been telling her is not normal, and this never happens, and she's the absolute exception, and she should be so thankful, and blah, blah, blah. And then, you kind of build that up, and you have this pressure where people expect you or really want you to go on tour, and you want to make them happy because you feel like that's
because you owe them.
You're
basically
only there because of them. Yeah.
Well, I listened to an interview where she was actually asked the question. So she wanted to tour after COVID, but still it's not possible right now because they're still booking all the cancellations from before. So she's not going to tour that album, actually. It does not sit right with her to bring out an album now and then only start touring it in like 2023. I mean, now as in, well, end of last year, end of 2021. So she would only be able to book all these venues and stuff in 2023. And that's like a 2-year gap. And so that would be weird. So the person doing the interview, and I will put it in the show notes, also asks her, but you said you wanted to stop touring. So what happened? And she just... Let's not forget that she had a baby in the meantime. She has become a mother. So I think that kind of life event changes the hell out of you. You've become responsible. You've made another person. You've become responsible for this other life. And I think, she just seems in a healthier place with herself. I think she says it best herself when she admits that she kind of admits that she used to run away a lot. I'm using air quotes, from herself and her problems. And she seems more mature, more sure of herself. I think she just, by becoming a mother, she grew up and stopped making a big deal out of things that aren't such a big deal. And she's just a lot more chill. And I think that makes that now she's like, yeah, I can tour because now I don't have to, or I will be able to, manage it emotionally more.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is something only Adele can really answer, so we're all speculating.
Yes.
But I can imagine it's, she went through a lot with her divorce as well, so, she's just kind of had to deal with,
well, like we all do.
Yeah.
And that's why we can relate to her when now she's written a whole album about her divorce, basically. So.
Yeah. Which is strange because I heard back in the day when it happened that she had to sign something to not use that as songwriting material. But
really?
That must have been a lie because this album is completely about like all of that. So
how can you
I don't
put
know.
a stop on the emotional things that she's gone through are hers to use how she wants.
I don't this was just something that was flying around back then. But anyway,
might have been a rumor.
I mean, the one of the reasons we wanted to do this episode as well is because it, like, not just because of Adele touring and all these things, but also because she stated at the Grammys recently that she was proud of being a female artist. And the background behind that is that the Grammys are now gender neutral. So there's no categories for female or male artists. It's just best artist. And that like kind of kicked off a shitstorm, which is so incredibly strange because people were like, oh, but you can't do that because this is like gender inclusive and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, but you can still be proud to be a female artist. You can proud to be a male artist. You can proud to be a non-binary artist or a trans artist or a queer artist or, that is just something you can be proud of for yourself. And I think it is an absolute accomplishment still in this time and day to be a female artist. It's still something that you should be able to be proud of. Absolutely. And to be able to state without it being some sort of
big deal.
statement against equality, which it's not.
No. And it's weird because that's something that she said is like, Adele said, okay, I'm proud to be a female artist, but that she doesn't say that because she wants the Grammys to have gender divided categories. You know, I'm sure that she understands why that those gendered categories are gone, and that's totally their the Grammys' choice. But besides that, I think she does have the right to say, I'm very proud of being an artist. Obviously, I'm a female, because why do we say female artist? But you can see it that she is. So why do we have to always make the gender difference as well? But I think when she uses that gender in what she's saying, she's making a point of that it is still harder for women to get to the point where she has actually gotten to, despite of being a woman. Basically, it's despite of, and that's why we sometimes say, yes, we are proud of being a female artist, and they put the accent on that. I mean, that's how I see it. I don't think she had anything against the new categories. It's just, again, how people to choose to interpret it, and like, oh, Adele is against the Grammys, basically.
Yeah, I think this is something that is happening a lot right now. We recently in Germany had a scandal with Fridays for Future, where they didn't they had invited a female musician to come, and then they disinvited her a couple of days before the event because she was white and wore dreadlocks, and they actually told her in the message, if you decide to cut off your dreadlocks before Friday, you are welcome to come play.
Wait. Was this is an artist you're talking about?
Yes, this is an artist.
Okay, so even artist. Let's just be serious. Even if you're not an artist, and I mean, I'm using this as, if you're an artist, you're allowed to be white and have dreadlocks. Anybody is allowed to be white and have dreadlocks. Anybody's allowed to have dreadlocks. I don't understand. Explain.
Right. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's the same kind of deal that in a slightly smaller scale, because it was in Germany. I actually know this artist personally, and it was so strange that I was told a couple of days after I'd read this post from her explaining what had happened and why she wouldn't be gigging on that Friday, that somebody from my university was like, oh, yeah, did you hear about that, like, Fridays for Future scandal, blah, 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 where they were like, oh, and that woman with dreadlocks wasn't allowed to play? And I was like, wait, what? And that shit had gone viral. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I think that the people who told her she wasn't allowed to play because of this and that it was cultural appropriation, etc., were not actually black. I don't think they were people of color.
Oh,
I think
it was cultural.
It's about cultural appropriation.
I thought we were past that. Like, okay, so you're only allowed to have dreadlocks if you're black. The
thing is, though, right? That's not even a thing, really, because dreadlocks were a thing of many different cultures, and not even every black culture or tribe had dreadlocks. And then if they did, a lot of the times, I educated myself after this because I was like, wait, and a lot of the tribes where dreadlocks were a thing, a lot of the times it would be only warriors were allowed to wear dreadlocks, and that would be as soon as they became family men. So women oftentimes weren't allowed to wear dreadlocks, and as soon as they became family men and had children and a wife, they weren't allowed to wear dreadlocks anymore.
Yeah.
So this obviously varies greatly from like tribe to tribe, from culture to culture, but again, it is not something that is only in black culture. It has, like, if you don't brush your hair for a month on end, which nobody would have been doing like hundreds of years ago,
dreadlocks.
then you get dreadlocks. That's just hair and how it works. So I find it very strange that that is something that is still contentious. But this is what makes me think that it was not people of color, because every person of color I've met that I've talked to about this and cultural appropriation in general has not really had an issue with it.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that the way you do your hair, dreadlocks or not, is a way to express, how you're living, or how what kind of culture you want to be a part of. And I mean this in kind of the music culture way. So you can easily, spot somebody on the street who, for example, would listen to metal, for example, metal rock. You can spot those people because it's a sign on you saying, I like that music and I belong to that kind of cultural, group. Same with people who listen to certain, house music. Like I belong to like the hardcore house, like the gabber part, with the undercut, and the guys have shaved heads. So you can recognize your group, but that doesn't mean per se that you're against another group. You have goth people who you or punks, and it's
you have a load of different
exactly. I would say that belongs to that, and that it's not like, white people aren't allowed to have dreadlocks because then they're offending black people in some way. I would definitely think that we were all above that now.
Yeah, it's a very hard topic to talk about, just because, again, I am always aware that I am obviously white and not really knowing what is contentious and what is not. However, again, I have, to everybody who I've talked to about this, people of color, it has not been an issue, and they have even also said, this is a little bit like, we don't really care. So I don't know if it's a US American thing, or because I don't really know that many US Americans.
So basically, the channel or the event was trying to be politically correct and say to this white person, look, we might get in trouble if you have dreadlocks because it's actually not in our culture. Okay, but then I mean, we're also mixed right now, and the world has gotten so small, and everybody
that really doesn't. Yes, I completely agree. But that's that's kind of besides the point, because the point is that they decided this because they were afraid, right?
They were afraid, exactly. Yeah, they were afraid.
And I think it's similar to the Adele thing, where people went into an uproar about that being kind of transphobic or homophobic or whatever.
But again, they're afraid, and because they don't ask questions. Instead of talk to the black community around you, then talk to the black people who watch your channel then, and ask them if they think it's inappropriate. Why decide something like, oh my god, it might be? Well, talk to the actual people that you're doing this for. Like, talk to Adele and ask her what she meant then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, then again, there's a couple of transgender YouTubers I follow, and some of them did videos on Adele and this comment, and being like, well, obviously she's not transphobic, and here's why. So it just kind of goes like, why are you trying to defend people by attacking other people without actually asking whether that was correct or not in the first place?
Yeah.
Like it's this whole cancel culture and being overly sensitive to a lot of things, where you react before you actually kind of educate yourself.
It's the same as social media. Everybody has an opinion and they all think they have the right to voice it. Yes, you have the right to voice it, obviously, but we don't need to care about your opinion.
And also, you can still get a shitstorm for your opinion, and you can say, oh, but I'm allowed to do my voice. Yeah, you are, but so are all the people who are commenting on your video.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I think it's very interesting where our society is going in that respect. But yeah, so sorry if that went into a little bit too far, but it's kind of a similar thing where it was a suggested slight towards a specific group of minority, and I think that the people who actually caused this hubbub weren't actually part of that minority. I think it was people outside being like judge and jury without actually knowing what they're talking about.
Exactly. Well, I looked it up for the Grammys, and Portnow, I'm quoting Portnow, was saying voters who previously chose 9 genre fields to cast votes will now vote in up to 20 categories. So there are more categories actually in the genre fields, plus like the 4 general ones, which is best music video, best artist, or best new artist, like the big ones. So Portnow said that the goal is to have more knowledgeable and focused voting than, so that I think it's interesting. There were 9 genre fields and now there are 20. So it made it I think that's better. And also the committee reported that they were concerned with consistently low numbers of entries in like the Hawaiian and Native American or Zydeco. I don't really know.
I have no idea what that
genre that is. Or Cayun categories.
Oh wait, Zydeco. Yeah, Zydeco. No, it's a specific type of music.
I have to look that up because I don't know about that, so I want to know more.
Just know it from Gilmore Girls.
Okay. And so all of which have been introduced in the 21st century. So I think it's interesting that they're saying we need to change our categories because we don't have enough entries for Hawaiian, Native American, and Zydeco. Look, let's go back to the Grammy Awards episode that we discussed in the last season 3, where we actually made people aware that the Grammys is not for everybody. If you have a hit in a country or in the world, that doesn't mean that you are eligible for a Grammy, to be nominated or win a Grammy. You need to be a member of the Grammy Club, right? It's a club and you need to be a member.
It's like the Oscars.
It's like the Oscars. So when they're saying the committee reported that they're concerned about, and I'm making this a very ironic voice because of the low number of entries in Hawaiian, Native American, Zydeco or Cayun categories, my immediate reaction is, well, then you don't have enough members to do entries for those, that don't bitch about having low numbers of entries. Then maybe expand your membership a little bit. Maybe take a good look at the entry process then, because I'm sure that there's still a majority of straight white males in your membership pool. Maybe you should try and get more Hawaiian and Native American and Zydeco and Cayun people then. That really struck me, and I'm like, that's not the way to do it. Yes, of course, change categories, but is that really the way you're going to get more entries? No, you need more members who are more diverse.
Exactly. Yeah. You need to kind of open up the system.
Yes.
And break down the way that it's been, because obviously the way that it's working now isn't very diverse. So you need to kind of change the system.
And so what you're doing now is basically give Justin Bieber the chance to not only win the male categories, but also the ones that usually were reserved for females. So now he can win like in every category, basically. That's basically what you're doing. You're giving the people who were already winning chance to win just across the board. I'm not sure. I see it. I mean, to be totally fair to everybody who's listening, I have not watched the recent Grammys where it was like the first time that they did the new categories. I just didn't have time. And I did hear that there were a lot of women who had won. There was Megan Thee Stallion and all these. There were a lot of female rappers who won in a lot of categories, which is great. But I haven't seen it at work, so I'm not sure, how far I can go to comment on it yet. So yeah, I think we should definitely have a look at how it went.
I think we need to have a look at it next year, maybe.
We should follow it and then do a follow-up episode. I think that's definitely fair to the Grammys. Because we're not here to just diss the Grammys. But it's, I just thought that was a very interesting quote that they were saying, we don't have enough entries. And that's why we're changing our main categories to non-gender.
It doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. It's not a very logical step when considering that the problem is actually that you cannot become a member very easily.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I went to look at the membership page because I thought, well, maybe they've changed the way you can enter. And it's very wishy-washy. It's not very clear on what you really need to submit because you need to make a case for yourself. But then it doesn't really say what you need to put in that case. And you still need a referral from a member. So that's all for today. Thank you for tuning into Unboxing Women. And if you've ever had an experience that you want to share with us, send us a DM or tag us in your post with the hashtag #suchabitch. Or send us an email on suchabitch@unboxingwomen.com. Don't forget to drop us a like on Instagram or wherever you're listening to us. And my name is Dana Rex and I've been chatting with Micah Rose. Tune in to another episode of Unboxing Women next week. See you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.